Welcome to Heartland Connections, elevating the area socially, culturally, and economically. Heartland Connections is brought to you by...
I'm the footsteps in your hallway. I'm the suitcase on your floor. When I'm looking out at you, I feel like I know what my life is for. It's good to see you. It's good to see you again. Good to see Bishop Hill again. It's good to see you. Hey. It's good to see you. It's good to see you again. Good to see the Creative Commons, my friends. It's good to see you. Can't wait to see you. Can't wait to see you again. Wait to see your faces again. It's good to see you.
Thank you for tuning in, and please enjoy the show.
I haven't got to eat any of it yet, but I've heard it's really good. Actually, I did eat a little bit of your meat, and it was delicious. You like the pasta? At the counter up there, we've got schedules of upcoming concerts, and you have some CDs and shirts maybe, or no?
No, they did not come in until.
Okay.
I do have shirts.
Oh, you got shirts.
No CDs, they didn't come in, but I do have shirts, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yes.
There's a jar that says donations. If you haven't hit that, please do. That's how Irene gets paid. We like that she gets paid. Next concert is next Saturday, Dickey and the Wildwoods, and then Sunday is Katie Bell and the Rangers. Is that the right name? No. Katie and the Bell Rangers. Yeah, there we go. I know, right? I think that's everything. But thank you everyone for coming. You're in for a treat. I've I purposely have not really like dug into much of her story just so I can like.
All right. So how many of you have gone to my website or seen anything there? Okay, cool. So you know a little bit of the gist of things. How many of you have listened to my music on Spotify? Couple? All right. Or I guess, do people here have Spotify? Maybe Apple Music or different? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope you consider it a treat tonight. It is a treat for me to be here tonight. I am Irene, and you're looking at Irene's Entropy, the entropy being my story, my music, my energy, everything that I put out into the world. We'll get into what entropy is in a little bit. How many of you looked up the word entropy? Cool. How many of you understood it? It takes a little bit. But we'll get into that as well. But the first song I'm going to sing for you tonight is a song called High Water off of my album High Water. And I want you to pay attention to the lyrics and how it makes you feel. This song was supposed to be describing how I felt whenever I jumped off the quote-unquote ship. The church I was raised in was Mormonism, and the prophets and apostles constantly refer to the church as a ship. And if you ever jump off the ship, if you ever leave, they tell you that you will drown in perilous waters and that you won't make it. And it took a lot of courage for me to leave because I really didn't think, I thought maybe I wouldn't make it. But I did. And that's what the story is tonight. So this song is called High Water, and I hope you enjoy it. High water. Sometimes it feels like I'm floating around, and other times it feels like I might drown. And forgiveness is something I've learned to hate and to love. You can't always give it out like a drug. And I know the soul that I gave you has never been perfect, not even close to the image that I portray. And so here I lay. We go back and forth like the tides of the sea, but I won't leave you if you don't leave me. 'Cause it's a good thing we can't go on, and I know that it's true. 'Cause you are my God, and I worship you. And high water, I dove right in, and you baptized my fears. My love, you are precious, and I'll wipe your tears. I promise I will never leave you if you don't leave me. Thank you. Thank you very much. 1 second. So that song, like I said, is kind of that moment where you get the courage to jump off ship. I am done with the stand. You can move it now. Yes. That's the only song I need the stand for. I usually play that on guitar with the band, but I do it on piano when it's just me. It was originally written on piano. It was the first song that I ever wrote. I think it was back in 2019. It was January of 2019, almost, 4 years ago now, is really when the story started. I had lived in Honduras for a couple of years, serving a Mormon mission. I came back, and I met the man who you see helping me tonight, and started questioning my past and how I grew up. I started wondering if maybe what was told was absolute truth wasn't truth. And as I started questioning the world around me, my world started to break apart. And that was the first song I wrote, trying to reflect how I felt about my world, how I felt about the pain I was feeling. So that song means a lot to me because it really describes, for me, the heartache and the push and the pull when you leave anything behind, whether it's, for me, a religion, a way of life, my family, but it could be a relationship or anything. That push and that pull and the tides of the sea, I thought was a beautiful way to describe those feelings. So I'm going to move up here. We're going to do some stuff with the guitar. And I do want to say that nights like tonight are really special because I do take questions from the crowd. It's not just me and the band. He did good. Oh. So, yeah, and I sometimes take questions in between songs, but I also have an intermission where people can ask me any questions they want. So as I'm singing, if there are any lyrics that strike you or any particular question you have about me and my story, please keep it in your head. You can write it down. But I do love intimate concerts and experiences like this because we can get to know each other as singer, songwriter, and audience members. And no question is too deep. I start from a pretty dark place whenever I'm singing songs like this, and we go up from there. But this next song is called Colorado. How many of you were here last time? Yeah, maybe you remember this one. So this song, thank you. This song is kind of in real life. That moment of jumping ship happened for me really in Colorado. So my story starts here in Illinois. I was born into a very small congregation of Mormons. I was 11 when polygamy was introduced to me as something that would be in my future, particularly in the afterlife. It is alive and well. So, and then from there on, there are things such as sexual abuse or emotional abuse. And then later on, I did go to Brigham Young University. I served a mission for the Mormon Church in Honduras. I came back. I met this man. I started questioning. And I went back to Brigham Young University. because that was where I was supposed to find a husband. And at the time, my family was, telling me that I was insane for even talking to this man, that I needed to go out and find a husband. And I had multiple proposals at this point. It is common to just get married like weeks after you get back from your mission. And I didn't want to get married, and I didn't want to just settle down because they told me that that's what I had to do. So I kept talking to this man, and he kept asking the right questions, and eventually he convinced me to meet him in Colorado, where I would be safe, to be outside of the bubble I was in Utah, to ask questions, and to really find out the other side of the story. So it was in Colorado where I always say, I tried my first sip of coffee. That was a big deal. I really thought that, I was hell-bound if I ever did that. You laugh, but it's serious, because can you imagine really thinking that your eternity was at stake if I ever had a sip of tea or of coffee? And I tried my first sip of alcohol. I wore my first mini skirt. It wasn't that mini. It was like just above my knees. But to me, it was huge. Because I had left all expectations back in Utah, including my Mormon underwear that I was supposed to wear 24/7, which, again, we laugh. And it is funny to look back, but those things were my only protection from the outside world. And to bring down those barriers and to look at life through the lens of reality was the hardest thing I ever had to do. And it continued to be the hardest thing I ever had to do. It's laughable because it's so silly, it's so crazy, but there are thousands of young and old people out there who are terrified to even step outside their house and view the world the way that we all view the world. And that's part of my story and part of my empowerment for other people. I relate to ex-Mormons, but also there's ex-Jehovah's Witness or Scientology, people that reach out to me, that I want them to know they're not alone. Whatever trauma you come from, however laughable it is serious enough that you can take your journey seriously and empower yourself to become a person that can tell your story. So again, there's a lot of introduction to this, but Colorado was the first place where I found freedom. And so I wrote this song, and I hope you like it. Birds live in cages, thinking for ages. Their own wings are wicked. Start with lies only to be fed truths that only made them sicker. So are we playing by the rules? 'Cause I don't wanna play the fool. No, not for you. 'Cause I'm getting high in Colorado, but I'm still stuck at the bottom. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Lipstick stains and the falling rain, but the handout keeps away the cold. 'Cause we make the chains that bind us. They're beautiful, but they'll destroy us. And now I know some true opinions, they were the good ones, but now they're dead and haunted. Caught in their own web, wanted to be fed, but now now they're left unwanted. So are we playing by the rules? 'Cause I don't wanna play the fool. No, not for you. 'Cause I'm getting high in Colorado, and I'm drinking whiskey from this bottle. Whoa, whoa, whoa. No more games, I'm not ashamed, 'cause the hand out keeps away the cold. 'Cause we make the chains that bind us. They're beautiful, but they'll destroy us. I wanna hold you in the pouring rain. I wanna kiss you on a beach in Spain. Don't care what they say, take away the pain. Oh, 'cause I'm getting high in Colorado, and I'm in control of my tomorrow. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And no more games, I am not ashamed, 'cause the hand I hold keeps away the cold. 'Cause we make the chains that bind us, but you know they don't define us. We know love is not a weakness. It's the strength that's here to teach us. Colorado, let's get high. Colorado, Colorado. Yeah. Thank you. It is true that a lot of times we make chains that bind us to things. I mean, it could even be, a home you buy. You're chained to this area. You're chained to the people you make connections with. And a lot of times those chains can be so beautiful. They ground us. But other times they can really hold us back. So for me, hold on. Stay hydrated. Especially in the winter time. Winter's terrible for vocalists. But for me, my chains really were my family in a very literal sense. In Mormonism, they have the term, families can be together forever if you obey all of the rules and you go to the Mormon temple and make sacred promises. And only if you do these things and keep these promises for the rest of your life can you then be a forever family. And I preached that day after day after day. But the reality of it when you leave is that your family becomes this weapon, and love becomes this weapon. These chains that bound you, that made you so strong as this family unit, suddenly, on the outside looking in, you realize that life will never be the same, and you can't be a part of that family anymore. And I've had people come up to me and say, well, it's not that bad. Or I know someone who is Mormon, or it's not that bad. And I have to explain to them that, yes, not only is it really that bad, but it's even worse than you think. Because when you've grown up knowing, I would watch people leave the church, and I would hear, my mother and father commenting, oh, so-and-so fell away. So-and-so was weak in their testimony. and, you know, they will not be with their family anymore in the afterlife. He's, you know, if it's a man, he's lost the priesthood, he's lost his connection with God, and it is very much this wall of they are now on the outside. We are still righteous on the inside. But, you know, many things said about other family members, that as a young child, you're developing your connections with the world. And I knew from a very young age, if you're in, everything's okay. If you ever leave, things are not okay. You're not accepted in this family. You won't be with us in the afterlife. And we won't love you unconditionally. I did not know what unconditional love was. So when I left Brigham Young University in the middle of the night. I had people that understood that I was starting to question things. So people started coming knocking on my door. Suddenly they wanted to know, how are you? Come with me to church. I'll bring you. Suddenly my bishop was saying, well, I have this calling for you, so you have to stay. You have to fulfill your calling. And everyone, my family was calling people. Everyone was knocking on my door. Everyone was calling me. I was being bombarded by, it's called love bombing. And I knew that I had to leave. So without telling anyone, I left in the middle of the night. I dropped out of school. And I went to Arizona and lived with a family member who wasn't Mormon for a while, just trying to understand what was going on around me. And that was one of the most painful periods of my life. My entire world was crashing down. I didn't know who to trust. My family, who was supposed to be my forever, told me I was insane. They told me I was crazy. They asked me, aren't you suicidal? Because I wasn't expected to ever survive if I left. So leaving was the most painful thing because I was so lonely. I had never been alone, and not just alone in a physical sense, but truly in a state of mind. So I wrote this song. It's called Freedom Was Pain, because freedom was the most beautiful thing that ever happened to me. But it was also the most painful experience that I've ever gone through. So I wrote this song. They tell you that freedom is gonna be great, but I don't know the difference between love and hate. So I stand in the rain, and there's no one I know that knows my pain or the weight of my name. And so I'm ashamed. They tell me I'm to blame. They say I'm not the same, and I needed my space to break free from my chains, realize they were fake. And I look in my old cage. I didn't know that freedom was pain. When the paint and the promises finally wear off, can you look at my scars and tell me their cost? Tell me what I have lost. All All the sticks and the stones are the bridge that I crossed. I'm done playing this game. I'm no longer ashamed. I won't take all the blame. They say I'm not the same, and I needed my space to break free from my chains, realize they were fake, and I look in my old cage. I didn't know that freedom was pain. They tell you that freedom is gonna be great. I'm still learning the difference between love and hate, and so I'll go on. For the rest of my life I'll be writing these songs so they know they were wrong. And I know I am strong, but I'll prove they were wrong. They say I'm not the same, and I need my space. I broke free from my chains and took back my name. And I look in my old cage, and I see it start to fade. Thank you. Yes, questions? Ooh. Good question. The music that you're hearing tonight, some of it is from my album High Water. Others are songs that have not been recorded and never will be recorded, and others are songs that are coming out on my next album, which is slated to actually, the full thing will be released in 2024. There will be 5 or 6 singles released this year. But all of your contributions tonight are much appreciated, because recording in a studio is quite a bit of money, and a lot of times time is money. So I thank you for being here, and thank you for any of your donations. But this next song I'm going to sing to you, and that song I just sang is on the next record, and the song I'm about to sing to you is on the next record as well. So they're not out. This next song is probably, again, I preface with, I start in a very painful place, because that's where my story begins, is in a painful place. But so leaving and having freedom, but also being lonely, you start to see the world as it is, and you have to reevaluate your connections with people. As I said, people that I thought once loved me the most in my life were suddenly no longer there for me. And one of those people was my mother. I've written a couple songs about my mother. And this next song is called To the Wolves. When I was 19 and I first left for my Mormon mission, they send you to a place called the MTC. It's called the Mission Training Center. And I went to Mexico. I had to learn Spanish. But the Mission Training Center it's really looking back at the brainwashing and the rigorous schedule that they put you through. You're talking about teens, 18, 19 years old, that they send, that they put together. And they wake you up early in the morning, and then they put you through all of these classes. They exhaust you with constantly practicing, knocking on doors, talking to people. Hi, my name is so-and-so, and, let me tell you about Joseph Smith or the Book of Mormon, and they pepper you with questions. And if you don't know the answer to the questions, they pound into your head. If you don't know the answer doctrinally, you just repeat, I know Joseph Smith was a prophet. I know the Book of Mormon is true. This is my testimony. And if anyone challenges you, you basically, shut down, and you just bear your testimony, and the Spirit will speak through you, is what they tell you. So over and over and over again, you have to repeat these things, and you have to learn how to teach the lessons. And, by the end of the day, you're exhausted. You're trying to learn a new language. You're trying to learn how to teach these lessons. You're trying to learn all the protocols and the rules that you have to follow. And then at the end of the day, they put all these exhausted kids in this big cultural center. And then they post all these videos of the prophets and apostles saying, you're the chosen generation. You were chosen by God to do this. And when people tell you that you're crazy or that Mormons are this, that's just Satan. And you're a soldier for the Lord. And then, oh my goodness, the swelling of emotion from these teenagers as we thought that we were chosen by the Lord to be these soldiers. And this rallying cry would go throughout. And all of a sudden, there you are in this very manipulated space where you really do think that you are a soldier and you're treated as one. In a Mormon mission, I wasn't allowed to call home. I was cut off from my family. I was allowed to receive letters for 1 hour once a week, and I could email home, but besides that, there was no calling home. I didn't have a phone to see anything about the world. I didn't know when Donald Trump became president. I didn't know that the Cubs won the World Series. I didn't know any of this because you're so isolated. In this time period, when I'm in the Mission Training Center, it was the week before I left, and I was going to Tegucigalpa, Honduras, which was at the time one of the murder capitals of the world. It was a very dangerous place. And I received a letter from my mother the week before I left. And in the letter she said, I love you. I know you're going to a dangerous place, and people ask me, aren't you scared for your daughter? I want you to know, like Esther, if you perish, you perish, and I will be a proud mother. And so with that, I left the Mission Training Center, not just a brainwashed Mormon missionary, not just a soldier for the Lord. I left knowing that if I died, my mother would be proud of me. And I dreamt of my death. The culture of being a martyr in the church is huge. I mean, to be a martyr for the Lord, just like, Joseph Smith died a martyr. They sing him praises. Literally, there's a hymn that you would sing almost every Sunday. Praise to the man, worshiping Joseph Smith because he was a martyr. And that's what I grew up with. So to be put in a position where I could be a martyr and I could die was a blessing. That's how twisted my thinking was. So later I wrote this song. It's called To the Wolves, because that's truly where I was being thrown, was to the wolves. And it's a letter to my mother, so. It took me a long time to send you that message. A terrible, painstaking, heartfelt confessions. I guess what I learned was a valuable lesson. A valuable lesson. bridge can't be built until problems are solved. Yeah, that's what I said, hoping you'd get involved. But all of the nightmares I tried to deny came true in the moment you didn't reply. 'Cause I still hear your voice. I didn't make you proud, and I hate the noise. The silence is too loud, because you fed me to the wolves in sheepskins, even when they bared their teeth, and you said it was a worthy death, and now you think that I'll forget. So I guess it's true, all's fair in love and in war. And I'll tell my story like I know you tell yours. The tale of a love that was ripped at the seams, because one had the guts to go follow their dreams. It took me some time, but I thought it through. And so many moments I justified you. And I close my eyes, you know I still shed tears. But all this will take me more than a few years. I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. As long as I'm living, you'd sacrifice me. 'Cause I still hear your voice. I didn't make you proud, and I hate the noise. The silence is too loud, because you fed me to the wolves in sheepskins, even when they bared their teeth, and you said it was a worthy death, and now you think that I'll forget. Because you fed me to the wolves in sheepskins, even when they bared their teeth, and you said it was a worthy death. You said it was a worthy death. Oh, mother, how could I forget? Thank you. It is a strange thing to be applauded for your pain. But I hope that the applause and the recognition of how painful of a song that is realized that there are many, many youth in that kind of pain. I receive messages from people that have lived my experience, and they say, I don't talk to my parents anymore, or I don't want to talk to them, and how do I get through this? And that's part of what I do. You know, it's not just being a musician, but it's a movement of empowerment to come from a place of trauma, to come from a place where you need to rise up. And that's part of what Irene's Entropy is, and I'll get into that later, but being able to recognize this pain and these stories, and that I am not the exception. I am the rule. Generations of people have felt like me, and I hope that I can be a voice for them, because often music speaks to people where words or writing cannot. So this next song, I need a capo, hold on. Not sure where this one I have one there, but I tuned it to that capo, so. Oh, thank you. He's such a good husband. Well trained, yes, yes. Any questions while I'm tuning?
I don't believe we were not applauding the pain, we were applauding the truth.
Thank you. Yes.
And applauding the fact that you've made it through this far.
Thank you. Thank you. This string always gives me trouble. Oh, something's not right. Again, this string. There we go. All right, so this next song, traveling through the story, right? You know, now we're down in Honduras. I experienced a lot of things down there, a lot of terrible things, also some good things. You know, I learned Spanish. I became fluent in Spanish, and I met some people that literally changed my life as far as knowing what humility is, knowing what unconditional love is. But I also mostly experienced anxiety. The rules of the mission were very intense, especially if there were two words to describe you in Spanish. Flechona was that you were straight as an arrow, you followed the rules, versus someone who was kind of lax with the rules. Because once you're out there, you're on your own. I mean, I flew into Tegucigalpa. I was flown in. We met at this church. They gave you what's called your trainer, who trains you. You're put on a bus, and you're shipped off. I didn't know the language. I didn't know where I was going. I just remember looking out the window, and the stars were coming out, and I was so tired. I hadn't slept in like almost 2 days. And here I was going off to some tiny town village that I had no idea where I was going. It was just me and this one other girl, and I just had to hope that she knew her way around. And, you know, we got dropped off, and I just remember being so exhausted. And you can't understand what it's like to, well, probably no one here is an immigrant, but to go to a country where you can't speak the language. You can't talk, besides maybe to say, where's the bathroom, or I'm hungry, or I'm thirsty. You don't have a personality. I couldn't make a joke. I couldn't understand what anyone was saying to me. I was trapped in this world, in this prison. It was very depressing until I started to learn the language, which I learned very fast because I only had one choice, you know? The brain is a very powerful thing. But it was a terrifying experience, but also you have to remember my mindset. I was there under the pretense that I was okay if I died. So walking down the streets and the men with machetes, you know, yelling things at me or making provocative hand signals or things like that didn't faze me because I thought, well, God's protecting me, and even if he's not, I'll die a worthy cause. So why wouldn't I? You know, I didn't flinch when the man threatened to rape me and cut me into 1,000 pieces and lay me in the ditch on the side of the road. Why would I flinch? Death was welcome. It was such a, excuse my language, but it was such a fucked up way of seeing the world. It really was. But I was a very faithful missionary. I kept everything to just the last tiny little rule, I was determined that if I was faithful enough, that God would bless me and my family. But the story I'm leading up to is you report back to what's called the mission president. And I remember I had to have interviews with him. I had to have interviews with many men before my mission, where they ask you very personal questions about your sexuality. And I had some experiences down there where I had very inappropriate interviews, where 19-year-old me was subjected to things that I never should have been subjected to. But it was normal for me. I had sat through interviews with men asking me questions about my sexuality since I was 8 years old. I had been sexually abused by a priesthood holder when I was 7 years old, and that continued for years, for myself and one of my siblings. So I was used to being subjected to those things. It wasn't until I was out that I understood how wrong and terrible those things were. So I wrote this song, and it's called She Has a Gun. It'll be on the next album, because I remember being 8 years old, and I remember sitting in the shower, curled up in a ball, imagining my sexual abuser entering the room. And in my head, I had a gun and I could shoot him. I dreamt of murdering him. And that's nowhere an 8-year-old should be. It's nowhere a 19-year-old should be. But it is where I was, and it's where many, many young women and men are. So I wrote this song. It's called She Has a Gun. Eyes slowly start to creep while she pretends to sleep. Only 7, only knows one way to heaven. Perhaps more wicked than his hands was the habit to take commands in the system, just to be one more victim, 'cause someone's down the hall. But no one she can call. Someone's down the hall, but no one she can call. So in her head she has a gun. How come no one ever comes? In her head she has a gun. How come no one ever comes? Words wash over her like oil. She's planted in black soil, and sexuality, her roots ripped from reality, and stains of tears she's forced to cry. She'll bury them alive. It's a cleansing she must break. She is bending to someone's down the hall, but no one she can call. Someone's down the hall, but no one she can call. So in her head she has a gun. How come no one ever comes? In her head she has a gun. How come no one ever comes? Truth is a drug. You take the wrong one, you get fucked up. Truth is a drug. You take the wrong one, you get fucked up. Truth is a drug. You take the wrong one, you get fucked up. Truth is a drug. You take the wrong one, you get fucked up. Thank you. What was that? One-time thing tonight. So, I did make it back from Honduras, and you know, all of these songs are looking back at trauma and things that I had to really unravel as I was, you know, looking at life through the lens of reality and what had happened to me and what my relationships were like. And the sad part is, you know, I had to leave a lot behind. And I had to rip myself away from a lot of things. And it was very painful, but also it was the best thing for me ever. And I'll sing a song kind of dedicated to that later. But I do want to concentrate on also how happy I was, the happiness that I found. The well-trained husband over here, he brought so much joy to my life because he showed me how life could truly be lived. And he showed me what unconditional love was, what it was like to be loved just for who you were. You didn't have to keep certain commandments. You didn't have to obey certain rules. You could just be loved. So him, as well as his son, my stepson, became the two most beautiful humans in my life. And if you were here before, then you've heard this love song. But this is a fun title. It's called Ballad of the Wood Rat. And you ask, why and what is a wood rat? It is a real creature. It's a small creature, cute little ears. But Eli, my stepson, called me lots of fun names, endearing. They're supposed to be endearing, but animal names. And he would switch it up, like maybe every 3 or 4 months. I'd get a new nickname. And then he and Greg started calling me a wood rat because I'd be scurrying about, and they'd be like, wood rat, like, you know, get out of there. What are you doing? And it stuck, and it has not left for years. So I wrote this song, and they said, well, what are you going to call it? And I thought it was smart. I said, Ballad of a Wood Rat. And then we just kept calling it that, and it stuck, and that's still the name. It's the name on the album. You can look it up on any streaming service, but it is a love song. Don't want another hand that I can hold. Don't want another body to keep me warm. Oh. And I have regrets that I still hold. You should be one of them, I've been told. Oh. I don't agree. Yeah, I don't agree. 'Cause you're the one for me. And I only hope that you still see past the diva that I choose to be. Yeah, I choose to be. 'Cause you know there hasn't been a day when you're not running through my brain, through my brain. Yeah, it's plain to see, it's plain to see that you're the one for me. You know, sometimes I get so scared, feel like I'm lonesome in this world. Oh. But you give me water in this life when it's a desert full of strife. Oh. You come to me, you come to me, 'cause you're the one for me. And I only hope that you're the one for me. Sometimes I think about the road less traveled by. Sometimes I think, what if I didn't choose you that night? And in my heart I know I would have drowned and died. Oh, I would have died. 'Cause you know there hasn't been a day when you're not running through my brain, through my brain. And you took a chance and made me yours, and every day I want you more. 'Cause it's plain to see, it's plain to see. You're the one. You're the one. My love. Thank you. Thank you very much. And as I said, there was so much pain. The year of 2019 especially. But towards the end of the year, when that song was written, I got married, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. And then 2020 hit, and it was COVID, and then I had all year to sit inside and write and think about myself, and because there was still a lot of healing to be done. Healing is not done overnight. Every single one of us sitting here has trauma. It does not have to be some huge thing that has happened in your life, but we can all sit here and relate. And I always say this, you perhaps might not relate to the stories I tell of living in a third world country, or threats for rape or sexual abuse or things like that, but we can all relate to loss, to grief, change, sadness. There are so many things in life that I feel that we suppress our emotions because we're supposed to be happy. We have to, keep our jobs and keep our families happy, and there's not always time to think about ourselves and to think about our emotions and let them move through us. And sometimes they stay trapped in us. And I've thought about this a lot lately. This song I'm about to sing to you is called Burn. And it's about burning yourself down to the ground and starting over, because that's what I really, truly had to do. So when you think about it from an ecological perspective, I do that because my husband's an ecologist. But you burn, the prairie gets burned so that it can be healthy and it can regrow. When we don't have these moments of burning ourselves to the ground and starting over, that adds up. Wildfires out west, why are they so huge and taking over everything? Correct me if I'm wrong. But, it's because these fire was kept off the land for years and years and years. And without fire, the underbrush keeps growing. And then all of a sudden, when it's lit, you have something burning through the entire state of California in the west, just destroying so much worse than if it would have just been a small fire that burned and let the regrowth start over, and to keep that underbrush from being there. And it's the same thing in our lives. We constantly are just on the go, 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 go. But it is so healthy when we can look at the emotional roadblock in front of us and ask yourself, what are the things in my life that I need to unpack, that I need to burn to the ground, that I need to start over so that I can be a healthier person? because we all have those things. So I want you to think about those things while I'm singing this next song. And I hope that you can have some personal revelation about what you can do to better your life. I always knew I was born to fly, but I didn't know where. I always take off for the sky and don't know where to land. And I'm terrified of my own wings, 'cause they bring me close to danger and Icarus dreams. Never meant to break your heart, so I punish mine. Seduce myself with sticks and stones, 'cause I need the pain. And I'm terrified of who I am. So tell the gods, be merciful, don't let the rain in. 'Cause maybe my ashes will give me life. And so right now I need to burn and turn into a million flames, 'cause I can't erase my mistakes. So let me burn. Let me burn. And when the smoke clears, tell my ghost that she can move on. Her shadow needs to leave the earth to make room for the sun, and she'll be terrified of what will grow and the tears that she'll leave behind. She don't even know that maybe her ashes will give me life. And so right now I need to burn and turn into a million flames, 'cause I can't erase my mistakes. So let me burn. Let me burn. Let me burn. Let me scream. Let me burst into 1,000 pieces of shame and broken dreams. Let me burn. Let me burn. 'Cause maybe my ashes will give me life. To burn, turn into a million flames, 'cause I can't erase my mistakes. So let me burn. Thank you. Awesome. I'm going to switch guitars for a second. Are we enjoying the show so far? Cool. Thank you. And I do always ask for feedback. You know, this is new for me. I've only been performing for the last year, and that's pretty sporadic. Thank you. Wonderful. But, yeah, so talking, right, in between songs, you always want to make sure that you have enough talking where you're telling the story enough, but you don't want to, bore people to death because you came to hear me sing and not to hear me talk. Nice. Thank you. So, yeah, I always look for feedback at the end of shows. Was there a part of a story that you wanted to hear more, or, anything that struck you, or phrases that you liked? I look for feedback from the crowd because I am new to this, and it's an experience for me as much as it is for you. Perfect. But this next song I'm going to do for you tonight is actually a cover, but I guarantee you've never heard it because it's in Portuguese. Does anyone speak Portuguese here? I always hope. That would actually be really cool for me if there was someone. Yeah. Because I do speak Spanish, and when I came back, language is such a beautiful thing. I'm so thankful that I can speak 2 languages, and I wanted to learn a third, so I started learning Portuguese. And it did not go well because it's so similar to Spanish, and I didn't have the time to dedicate that I started mixing the 2 languages together. And then I thought, oh no, I want to just, at least have 2 that I can speak and not, 1.5. So I stopped learning Portuguese, but before I stopped learning it, I heard this song. And the lyrics, I was still Mormon at the time, but the lyrics and the melody spoke so, so strongly to me. And a year or 2 later, I remember I was going through all of these feelings and, writing songs like Freedom Was Pain or She Has a Gun. And I all of a sudden remembered this song because it spoke to me so much before. And I took it back out and I listened to it. And the general message of the song is that when you lose a love or something, that it is good to travel to other paths. It is good to find new relationships. It's good to have that growth, but also to understand who you are and where you came from. So this is called O que restou de nós, and you won't even know if I butcher any of the stuff. I feel as though I sing it pretty good, but Portuguese accents are different than Spanish accents, so sometimes I put a little bit of a Spanish twist on it. But there will be some English throughout it, so I just want you to pay attention to how you feel when you hear this song. And I hope you feel something. Olhou pra nós, o que restou de nós, sente a minha ausência aí dentro, o que te restou. Olhe só pra mim, o que restou em mim, sente a diferença aí dentro, o que me restou. mas Deus criou um tempo que vem curar as mágoas, nos ensina que todo enfim valeu. Siga o teu caminho, vai servir sozinho e se lembrar pra sempre quem foi eu. Quero andar por outros cantos e viajar com quem eu amo, lugares que você não me levou. Alimentar os meus sorrisos, me entregar um sentimento e desfazer o que você deixou. Eu disse ao Jon Zahm, esse amor, desculpe, não vais mentir, mas preciso te deixar pra minha alma encher o sorriso. Eu não sei o que pensei, mas tudo aquilo que foi seu agora vivemos outro amor. I wanna walk down other paths now and travel with the one I love now, to places you never let me go. Alimentar aos meus sorrisos, me entregar um sentimento e desfazer o que você deixou. Eu disse ao Jon Zahm, just amor, excuse me, I don't wanna lie, but you know I had to leave for my soul to smile again. Eu não sei o que pensei, mas tudo aquilo que foi seu. And now I live in another love. Oh. Thank you. That was my first time ever singing that live, so thank you. It's such a beautiful song, and I do encourage people to listen to songs in other languages. Sometimes it brings out feelings that you can't really feel when you're paying attention to lyrics in English. I do encourage that. One of my favorite bands is Italian right now. And then I'm going to do one more song in this set, and then if anyone needs a bathroom break, feel free to go to the bathroom, and we'll come back in like 5 minutes if that's all right. I don't even know what time it is. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Time's your burden, man.
So this song kind of reflects what that last song was, only in English. It's called Whatever You Do. And this song is very important to me, and even though it's a cover, it's one of the most important songs I sing as an artist because it is the song that inspired me to start writing my own music. It is written by Brandi Carlile, if you know who she is. She's one of my heroes, and I hope to meet her one day. But this song started it all for me, and the general message of it is, I love you whatever you do, but I have a life to live too. And that is so how I felt when I decided to burn to the ground and start over, just start my life over. I had to be okay with saying, you know, nothing of I hate yous or anything terrible. I love you whatever you do, but I have a life to live too. And in order for me to live that life, I have to live where I'm not in a toxic place. I have to be able to grow. So I encourage all of you, if you have toxicity in your life, if it's from a habit or a person or a TV show or anything in your life that does not bring you happiness but brings toxicity, you can say, I love you, whatever you do, but I have a life to live. Be the healthiest version of yourself. And with that, I will sing Brandi Carlile's Whatever You Do. If I don't owe you a favor, you don't know me. I don't believe we've ever even met. There's a God in heaven you can show me, then I guess I would admit I've lost the bet. There are moments I can hold you forever. There are moments that last and way too long. There are days when I've changed with the weather. To hold you in place would be wrong. There's a road left behind me that I'd rather not speak of, and a hard one ahead of me too. I love you, whatever you do, but I've got a life to live too. I never met a morning I could get through, nothing on my breath to hold the night, and I never said I'm sorry, but I meant to. Met a coward I don't like. There are reasons why a body stays in motion, but at the moment only demons come to mind. There are days I could walk into the ocean with no one else but you to leave behind. There's a road left behind me that I'd rather not speak of, and a hard one ahead of me too. I love you, whatever you do, but I've got a life to live too. There's a road left behind me that I'd rather not speak of, and a hard one ahead of me too. I love you, whatever you do, but I've got a life to live too. Thank you very much. Like I said, we can take a 5-minute break. If anyone needs to go to the bathroom, they can get some more food or something, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. Yes. Yeah, I'd always played piano, and I always loved it. I was the only sibling that stuck with it, and it was kind of my dream to be a singer-songwriter, but it just wasn't really in the cards for me, so I kind of stopped playing, actually. And I only started playing guitar when I started songwriting in like 2019. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Just picked it up, and I thought, if I really want to do this, then I need to learn how to play guitar. So it's only been like 4 years. I just learned. I just looked up like chord patterns, and then I started looking up songs, and like I want to learn how to play this song, and then I just started. Yeah, I just did it. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, thank you. I will. Yep. No, it's literally the music was therapy. Like, I think that's why it comes out. You know, I'm not the best guitar player, but I just feel like if I can play it with the emotions I'm feeling, it's just therapy, and it ends up sounding okay. But no, I'm not professionally trained. I've never had vocal lessons. I've never had guitar lessons or anything like that. So, thank you. And what was your name? Jane? Okay, awesome. Have I communicated with you on social media or anything? Okay. Okay. Because I thought maybe there was a Jane that messaged me, but I can't always see the profile pictures or something. So, but thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I have t-shirts. Yep, I'm out of CDs right now, but I do have t-shirts. So. Yep, yep. Yep, if you... Hey, Greg. Could you get the t-shirts out? If anyone does want to buy a t-shirt, over here. Yes. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah. All right. Back here is a sign with a QR code. If you want a link to any of my stuff for music or my website, YouTube, Instagram, yes, or if you want to book a house gig, the QR link is over there on that light up sign. But I will start in about 1 minute. I'm going to get my guitar, so. Oh, we've requested 3 minutes. 3 minutes starting now. I will. Yep. Yep. I'll play that in my second set. Yeah. Yeah. No. Thank you. No. Yep. I appreciate everything you've ever done for me. Thank you. Yeah. She's not religious. So I still have contact with family, with a couple aunts and cousins that aren't Mormon, but as far as my Mormon family, those are who I'm separated from and who I haven't talked to in years. But I do have some family, which is awesome, and they really support me and my music and everything. So, but they live out in like California and Arizona, so I don't see them as often. But it is wonderful to have them. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes. Good. Yeah, I would love to talk about all of it, especially young people when they're interested. I am not atheist by any means. I'm very agnostic. I'm. Uh, I always say that I'd be a fool if I didn't believe that there was something greater than ourselves as existence. But I do not worship any god. And that is, I don't think that I ever could worship one entity ever again, but I'm a very spiritual person, and I do think that there is something more to life than just, an atheist point of view where it's, yeah. I always describe myself as I'm very spiritual, but I never will be in one religion ever again. Yeah. So, yeah, that's where I stand. But I encourage people to be open-minded about others' religions because I've seen so much hatred spread back and forth between different types of Christianity or Muslim or Buddhists that we're so quick to point fingers, but there have been thousands of gods throughout history that to say that just one is the only answer to me, I don't stand behind that. I'm very open to people worshiping as they please. So, yeah, that's kind of a longer answer, but yeah, yeah. But any questions you have, I love questions. So keep asking. Thank you. You've got hats, by gosh. Is it okay if I look at your? Oh yes. I'm sorry. Yeah, hats, t-shirts. There's some shoes. Hats. Yeah. We can help you. Yeah, and there's black and white, but nobody likes white. So I like white. Yeah? Yeah, it's hard to find. Yeah, I didn't order any more whites, so whatever's there is there. Whatever's here, okay. All right, so I had a couple of awesome questions, and I thought that I would say them to you because you might have the same questions. Somebody asked me, have you been playing music your whole life? The answer is yes, I've been playing piano. I'm one of 5 siblings, and I'm the only sibling that stuck with it. I'd come home from school every day, and I would either be anxious to read or play the piano. But I did not start playing guitar until I started songwriting in 2019. So that's a very recent venture to try to learn the guitar. Other question. Oh, and I played French horn. If there's any band geeks in here, I did play the French horn. So, other questions. Somebody asked me, have any of your family or siblings also left? The answer is no. And maybe one day they will. And I had an aunt who's not Mormon who questioned me and asked, well, what do you think your nieces and nephews will think? You know, they've never seen you. Literally, my sister had twins last year, and I didn't even know that she had twins. Like, I just, no contact. I heard it in, like, a hair salon that my sister had twins. So they were asking me, well, what about your nieces and nephews? And I just looked at them and I said, if they ever, at any point in their life, want to know who I am, I have left a trail of websites and videos and music and me telling my story. If you ever know, or if you ever want to know who I am or why I left, it is out there on the internet. And, you know, they can look me up at any point in time. They could message me, and I'm open to that. But, you know, there has been no contact. And all my nieces and nephews are very young, but I stand by that. You know, I'm not trying to just be a singer-songwriter for fun. I'm trying to leave a legacy of what my life is and what I stand for, so that anybody else who has gone through or is going through what I am or have gone through, that they have something to feel, to watch, to learn. So I had that question. So the answer is no. But if they ever did leave, I am building this for them, for anyone who leaves. So that was a very good question. I was also asked, do you believe in God? And the answer is I'm not an atheist, but I'm very agnostic. You know, being forced to worship one entity. And when I left, believe me, I studied every religion. And even before, I was very interested in religion. I took Arabic in college, studied Hebrew, Judaism, Islam. I was very interested in learning how all other religions worked with the lens of trying to almost prove that Mormonism was right. When I left, I began studying those same religions, just questioning everything. And in the end, I can only tell you that I'm a very spiritual person. And the more that I am involved with science, we will talk about entropy. I'm an engineer. I'm a mechanical engineer in aerospace, but I am very much a believer in, you know, science is awesome, and we're learning new things all the time. But it would be very small-minded of me to just think that it ends with what I think I know. You know, there's so much more out there, and I feel a very spiritual connection to life, to people. So if that kind of answers the question, do you still believe in God? I will never worship one entity again. I'm more open-minded about how people view God, how we view our own spirituality, but I think it's very important that we find spiritual connections, however it may be, that those spiritual connections make us human and make us experience life differently. So if that answers that question. And then I had one other question. I mentioned a family member that I went and stayed with when I left Utah. Do I still have contact with them? And the answer is yes. I have a couple of aunts and some cousins that aren't Mormon, never were Mormon, and they really support me, and we have an awesome relationship. It's incredible, actually. I have a better relationship with them now than I ever did when I was Mormon, because I was so close-minded then and did not have relationships with them because they were on the outside. So there might have been more. Does anybody else have any questions? Oh, no, good. I love this part. So we'll start in front row and then work our way back. Did you have one? Oh, I've seen it. It's so funny and sad and true. The answer to that is, hold on. Oh, I thought he was talking. Yeah, so I've seen the Book of Mormon, the musical. When I was Mormon, I hated it. I refused to see it. It was Satan that penned it himself. But no, it's funny because you can always tell who the ex-Mormons are because they will be sprinkled throughout the audience, and someone will sing a verse or a scripture from the Book of Mormon or say something that is there's a lot of cult-like language, special language that you would only understand if you were in it, especially being a missionary, and the mission culture was like a cult within a cult. It was really crazy. So to watch it, it was so funny. The ex-Mormons would all burst out laughing at a part of the song that no one else was laughing. And you look around and there was a person 6 people down from me, and I just was like, you! And they pointed back and we made this connection and we both knew. So yeah, it is fun. It is kind of vulgar, lots of F-bombs and things like that, and sexual things talked about. But if you do go see it, it is sadly, and again, we laugh because a lot of times painful things bring comedy, but there's lots of parts of it that are so true that if you take it from a less comical perspective, it's very twisted. Again, the brainwashing and the thing, the song Turn It Off. If you have any questions and you're like, wait, maybe that doesn't make sense, turn it off. And that's a very messed up way of viewing the world, that cognitive dissonance is what it's called. Anytime you have cognitive dissonance, you do these mental gymnastics to bring yourself back so that you never question. That's a very real thing. There's another song in that musical called Scary Mormon Temple Nightmare, something like that. I suffered with nightmares. That's very true. They put it in the musical because so many people suffer with it. And the song is funny, but in real life, I had nightmares before I left on my mission that I wasn't good enough, that I'd be called to somewhere, that I had nightmares that I got called to Ohio. Yeah. But it's very hard to be a missionary in the United States because, we're more civilized and have cell phones, and people can just Google Mormon on the internet, and suddenly, if you don't know the answer to a question, and there you are kind of looking like an idiot, it was better to go to a third world country where there were people that were poor and didn't understand maybe the history of what you were teaching. So I had nightmares then. I had nightmares in Honduras that I would get sent home early from my mission. That is social suicide in the church. When you get sent home early from a mission, you are less worthy to find a spouse. People look at you differently. People assume that you sinned, so you got sent home. And you almost get this scarlet letter. And it's a very, very real thing. And a lot of times, I'll just leave it at that. It's the scarlet letter, but it's a very real thing. So I would have nightmares that I got sent home early. And then towards the end of my mission, I would keep having nightmares about going home because I was so used to living in this country. And at this time, I became so brainwashed that it's almost as if my family didn't really matter to me anymore. They kept writing me home, we're so excited to see you. And I kept thinking, I'm not excited to see you. Like, all I cared about was the church. All I cared about was preaching the message. I'd become so ingrained in my head that this was my work and this was my purpose. And my mom had already written me off for dead, and the rest of my family kind of felt the same. So, like, do you really care about me? Because I don't really care about you. I only care about the church. And it was this weird dynamic where when I came home, the plane ride home was so strange. It was like, I can only imagine if there's any veterans in here, if you ever served and you came home, but you've been in a different country for so long and your comrades are back there and you're just thinking, home isn't here anymore in the United States. And it was very weird. And lots of missionaries describe this feeling. And then when you have home, you have lots of nightmares about that you need to go back, you need to get on a plane and keep, teaching because you don't feel comfortable in normal life. You lived by all of these strange, strict rules. And now all of a sudden you have to interact with other people without saying, hi, I'm a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and this is the Book of Mormon. Like, you're just so different. And it really messes with your mind. So that's another example, perhaps a tangent. But again, these songs in the musicals, while it is funny and we do laugh, behind each 3-minute song, I could talk for hours about the psychological trauma that people go through because of what they experienced in what is now a funny 3-minute song. But it's real life. And they put it in there because so many people have lived that real life. So the Book of Mormon, the musical, very funny, but behind it, lots of trauma that's very real, and that's why they wrote those songs. So that's the Book of Mormon, the musical. Yes? So I was a true blue believing Mormon, and it's not bragging, but I was probably one of the most knowledgeable young people about the church there. Lots of kids go on their mission. They haven't even read the Book of Mormon the whole way through. Their parents just are telling them to go, or it's a rite of passage. But I had read the Book of Mormon through multiple times, and like I said, I had already studied everything I could to be the most knowledgeable about church history. I knew all the hard questions about Joseph Smith. I had done so much studying and taken so many classes out at Brigham Young University. I didn't take normal classes. I took Jesus Christ and the Everlasting Gospel, Joseph Smith and the Restoration, Book of Mormon 1, Book of Mormon 2. My English classes were about biblical things. I took Judaism and Islam and Arabic. I was kind of on another level of obsessed with being the best missionary, the most faithful. So no, I was not questioning at that point, but I did struggle with exactly what you said. When I got there, I thought, I'm here to be Christ-like, and I'm here to be a messenger for Jesus Christ. So of course I want to serve people. Of course I want to help these people. But I have a whole tangent I could go on that I'm not going to go down about missionaries in third world countries and the way that we view missionaries of any sort in a third world country. There are ways to help people more than what we think we're doing when we're there. Not a tangent I'll go down tonight. But yes, I got there and I wanted to be Christ-like in serving people, and repeatedly it was pounded in my head. The hierarchy in a mission is you're a missionary, and then you have your district of other missionaries around you within like a 100-mile radius. And then you have your zones, and each district leader will report to their zone leader, who's in this other, it's like bigger area. And then the zone leaders report to someone called an AP, an assistant to the president. And then there's the president of the mission. So there's this hierarchy, and you have district meetings every week. And every single night, you have like this track phone, Every single night you have to call in and you have to say, I talked to this many people, I taught them these lessons, I committed this many people to baptism. Like literally the amount of people I would talk to on the street. I had to keep track of that. When you meet someone, you know, it's not just, oh, I met someone and I taught them, you know, the gospel. I'm going to write down any information about you. You lost a child. I'm going to write it down. You got a divorce. I'm going to write it down. Here's their address. Here's their phone number. Here's everything and anything about them. And I'm going to put it in a carpeta, binder in English. Our carpetas, they lined the home. And it was collecting information. It was like a business. Let me collect information about you so that I might not be able to teach you the gospel. But 2 months from now, some other new missionary moves in. Oh, here's Sister Carla. She lost a child. I know exactly what message I'm going to teach when I knock on her door and I talk about you can be a forever family in the afterlife, even if you had someone in your family that died. It is not fate. It is not the Spirit. It is not God on your doorstep that just so happened to give you this message. It is planned. And I was not okay with that. The more that I saw through the church and I saw what a very successful business it is, and it is not until I was leaving and I was questioning that I learned that I was taught, you know, no one in the church gets paid. Funny how the prophet and the apostles own this many homes and have this much money that they're paid every year. Funny how the church has their own system of lawyers and their own social systems where they put you in therapy. I was told to go to a therapy, you know, within the Mormon church. They have their own LDS system of therapy because that keeps you in when you're questioning. They have hundreds of billions of dollars that got leaked. They own these gorgeous, beautiful temples, but have given that less than 1% of their wealth to actual poor people or done anything. You know, it's insane what the statistics are. And I will not go down that tangent any further. But, no, don't be sorry. This is stuff you should know. People say, oh, was it really that bad? It's not a cult. Yes, it is. So I struggled with that immensely because I wanted to be Christ-like. But also I was told, literally told, if they are not ready to say yes to baptism or to Joseph Smith, leave them behind. They'll be ready for a missionary next year or whenever. Just write about them in your binder. Leave them behind. And I hated that. I really did. I met so many amazing people down there that I had to leave behind simply because they weren't, quote unquote, ripe. They weren't ripe for picking, for baptism. So yeah, a lot of my questioning of the church started with that. I recognized in my soul that something was not right. And it really, in the end, it broke me. Because here I was trying to be so obedient to all of these rules. I'm trying so hard, but no one's getting baptized because, joke's on me, not a lot of people believe in Mormonism, you know. Even down there, they're like, what? This guy, gold plates, an angel, and all this stuff. Polygamy. But, yeah, it was a very big struggle. And I suffered with severe depression and anxiety because of that fight. So, beautiful question. Because that's a huge part of what my mission was that fight. I think so. And I never actually questioned the church at all in my mission or even after. I never questioned the church, but I questioned the feelings that I was having inside. That oh, yes. If you question the church, in fact, one of the apostles, doubt your doubts before you doubt your faith. You are told specifically, if you question the church, then you should go back and doubt yourself because something must be wrong with you. And that's straight from the mouth of one of the apostles. So, yes, to answer that question, I doubted myself.
For you, I mean, you're an artist,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's about getting your message out. You're telling your story.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very powerful entity that you've left that has
Lots of money,
holes everywhere,
lots of lawyers.
right?
Yeah.
Stories of Scientology, of people that are out to ruin their lives, and all that. So what's going on with you?
She's her favorite false prophet.
That's, thank you. I have been called a false prophet, yes. But, yes, there are. And
Very bright for doing this.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, no, yes, I understand.
This is the first time she's ever done this, people. I'm very terrified myself sitting here.
yeah, so there are some active things that I'm doing because this is more than just being a singer-songwriter. I am trying to build something from this. As far as retribution, I'll never touch the Mormon church. You know, they are big, they are powerful, they are huge and very rich. And I'm an apostate. Quite literally, that's a word that I was told when I was young, you know, that's the worst of the worst what you can be. I don't even get a place in hell. I'm sent to what's called outer darkness. That's what an apostate is. I am scum. But yes, if you have a witness from the Spirit and then you deny it that the church isn't true, that's what makes you an apostate. So, but anyways, as far as retribution, there are many, many women and men, but I focus on women because that's what I relate to. There are many women that suffer in silence because they've already had kids. Their kids are already in the church. Their husband rules the house and the family, and there's no way they can leave. But they are out there on the internet. And I have started something called the Identity Project, which I was going to talk about later, but if you're interested now, I can talk about it now. So I started what's called the Identity Project, where women, sometimes under pseudo names, some of them are out, and there's different terms for it, to be physically in, but mentally out. You have to still go to church with your husband and your kids and keep up with, you know, the appearance, but mentally you don't believe. And these women will write me letters, and I give these letters to artists who will paint their trauma and their story. And then I release these letters in a collection so that other women, you know, it gets passed along, and then other women read letters or see art or then hear my music or podcasts. And the idea is to grow a movement of empowered women who have left the church that have a story to tell. Because as I said, I am not the exception. My story is very tame compared to some others. But I think that these women deserve the chance to tell their story and to be heard. And I give them that opportunity in the Identity Project. It's very cool. It's on my website. You can go read it, see the art. And there will be more letters released this year. And I'm looking to do more. I'm looking at putting together a tour out in Utah and Idaho so that I can, you know, because there are undercover ex-Mormon groups. When I was at Brigham Young, no one could know I was questioning, but if you went to like there's undercover people that like will meet at coffee shops on Sundays, because Mormons don't go into coffee shops, let alone on a Sunday. And but it's so scary because what if someone sees me? You're so scared to even question, but there are groups, and I was in them. And if I can find them again, and I can arrange for tours to go see these people and to sing this music and let them know that they're not alone, the idea is to make these connections and then to get more letters, more experiences, and to grow it as a movement of people who are empowered. And that is how I fight the Mormon church. Yes. Yes, and it's in its infancy stages. So, once again, thank you for being here as never Mormons who who are interested in listening to the story. No, Nauvoo, yeah. Yes. Oh, yes. Yep. Church history is ripe with lots of terrible things that I would never have learned in Sunday school. I learned the history, but you learn it through a special Mormon lens where everyone was just out to get the Mormons, and only because they were so righteous and Satan wanted them out, so they got kicked out from state to state. Mormon history is one thing, but it's not really the Mormon church. That Mormonism is so easy to disprove. It's the trauma that comes from the psychological way that children are raised, that young adults and even adults are forced to be. So there were some other questions. Thank you for that one. But the Identity Project, please check it out. It's growing, and that's what I'm starting. Thank you. Thank you. I also hope to do a lot with education for women, because it is cultural that you go to Brigham Young. It's called BYU I Do. You only go there to get married. You don't go there to get an education. It was never expected that I get an education. In fact, it was quite honestly, you don't need it. Your husband will have it. It's nice if you get one, but you know, the most sought after degree there is literally just in how to raise children. Exactly. So when I left, you know, the most powerful thing I could think of was to live in a male-dominated space and become an engineer and study math and science, because that's something I never was taught that I would, you know, be good at. So, yeah, that's funny. Yes. So yeah, I work at an aerospace company, and I'm a huge fan of all things math, science, and encouraging women to get their education. It's so important. So that's another huge thing that I hope to build something in the future. And that's where entropy comes from. Entropy is the second law of thermodynamics. Entropy at a molecular level is the disorder of energy. So we're talking here, you know, all of you carry energy, and my music comes out at you and you feel things, and it's this never-ending expansion of disordered energy. And that's why I call it Irene's entropy. It's my entropy, it's my energy, it's my chaotic, disordered mind coming out at you in the form of music and storytelling. So that's why it's Irene's entropy. Any other questions? Perfect. Yes. I am a nerd, an ex-cult member, singer-songwriter. There's lots of stuff on my resume. Yeah. How many of you have heard the song Quetico? Yes, it's a great song. So these are a couple songs off the album that I wrote because I felt like it was important to not just put sad songs on there, but also I'm making awesome relationships with friends and other people. So this is a song I wrote about a friend that told me that he was going to move away north and never come back. And I said, well, where will you go? And he said, I don't know, Quetico. And I was like, oh, I don't know where that is, but that's a sexy name. I'm going to write a song about it. So, and Quetico is north of the Boundary Waters up in Canada. It is a very beautiful place. So if you like going up north. Working like a dog for the long, long week. Wanna kill a couple men, but I turn the other cheek. Oh, oh, oh. but the wheels to spin. Made some deals with the devil, thought that I could win. But if I'm going 6 feet under, wanna do it my way. I don't own no one, but they can keep my change. I don't wanna feel what I'm feeling. I don't wanna see what I'm seeing. I'm gonna pack up my bags, gonna hit the road. I'm not gonna tell anyone where I will go. I ain't gonna stop till I hit north of Quetico. Dollars don't do me no good. I just want some quiet where I'm understood. I won't let it go. I got an old guitar and some good whiskey. Love my friends and my family, keeping chains on me. But if I'm going 6 feet under, wanna do it my way. I don't own no one, but they can keep my change. I don't wanna feel what I'm feeling. I don't wanna see what I'm seeing. I'm gonna pack up my bags, gonna hit the road. I'm not gonna tell anyone where I will go. I ain't gonna stop till I hit north of Quetico. Took from my past, the present I give. My future's a grave, and so I must live. Took from my past, the present I give. My future's a grave, and so I must live. My future's a grave, and so I must live. Oh, I'm gonna pack up my bags, gonna hit the road. I'm not gonna tell anyone where I will go. I ain't gonna stop till I hit north of Quetico. I sit on this rock, wind at my back. I'll push off from shore and never look back. Oh, no, I won't look back. Oh, Quetico. Oh, Quetico. These next collection of songs are a little lighter, not so heavy. I do love writing songs about how happy and beautiful life is, and you know, the beautiful friendships that I have. A lot of the next part of the story is on the next album, and it's quite honestly songs that I can't do on my acoustic guitar. My last album was very much Americana, very, you know, acoustic guitar driven. That's what they were all written on. But my next album is very rock and roll. I can't do it without my other guitarist, my bass player, or my drummer. It's just better that way. So I encourage you, if you want to hear more of the story, where truly, besides going through the sadness and ripping apart, trauma, because part of healing is anger. Being angry is something that I also feel we don't do enough of, or if we do it in the wrong way. But anger is a gift. Anger is why we march on the streets. Anger is why we dance. It's why we sing. It's why we try to make change for ourselves, for our families, for our country, for anything. Anger can be beautiful if it is used to make action that can change us for the better. And that's what the second part, my next album, really is. It's about that anger. It's about understanding. There's songs called Gaslight Me, where you wake up. I will not be gaslighted anymore, and I'm angry about it. You cannot tell me to sit down and shut up and be quiet, so I will speak. There's another song called Speak. There's another song called PTSD. It really captures those emotions, and I can't play them for you tonight. But you can look forward to lots of, like I said, almost half the album, like 5 or 6 singles will be released this year. And the plan is for us as a band to start doing shows without the album being released, but to do shows of the full album. So you can come catch us at a show and hear those songs. I would love that. And then next year, the whole album will be out. So, but this next song I'm going to sing for you is off of the first album, and it's another beautiful song about relationships and friendships. This is a song about love. It's called Real. Tell me you still think about me when you go home, when you're all alone, right before you go to sleep. Cause I know that it's selfish and rude, especially to you, when I tell you these things. Cause I know we're just friends, but it's kind of intense, and I'm tired of the poker face you wear. Cause I know what you hold behind that stare. Cause it's real. I can't help but steal the moments and the glances. I know I can't be romantic, but I hope. Yeah, I hope you know it's real. And I know what you think about you, but babe, you're wrong. Just listen to this song, and then you'll know the truth. Cause you had all the scars you own, you turned them to stone, and then you drown yourself in tears. But I know we're just friends, but it's kind of intense, and I'm tired of the poker face you wear. Cause I know what you hold behind that stare. Cause it's real. I can't help but steal the moments and the glances. I know I can't be romantic, but I hope. Yeah, oh, I hope you know it's real. 'Cause you once told me I deserve honesty. So tell me now if you could live without me. 'Cause I can't imagine a world where you would leave me. So tell me you still think about me when you go home, when you're all alone, right before you go to sleep. Thank you. Heads up, I'll need another water soon. Thank you. You know, I will be kind of sad when, fingers crossed, it gets to the point where you have roadies or you have people helping you out. I'll be sad, actually, when it's not him. Yeah. I'm sure he feels the same way. Yes.
Let's go to Colorado for that water because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's great water.
I don't know what's up with my tuner tonight. It's been cutting out. Thank you. Yes, everybody say, thank you, Greg. Thank you. Thank you, yeah, he is. He is the real MVP. Before we came, and I was doing my makeup, and he was doing the laundry. He said, do you think the people will know? Do you think they'll know what I do? While I'm the star on stage and I look beautiful and I'm in this dress that he launders. He really is. He's a rock star. That was one of our things, by the way. In Honduras, I had to wash my clothes on like a rock. And I would get bloody knuckles and scars from washing my clothes. So when we were dating, I said, my stipulation is that I never do laundry again. And he, to his word, he does all the laundry. So he's a good man. Thank you. Round of applause. Thank you. He deserves it. He does. How long have we been married? 3 years? Yeah. We've been married 3 years? Yeah. Oh, yes. Sorry, husband. Sorry. This next song I did at the last show, so you might know it. It's not on any record. I wrote it last year out in Yosemite. Excuse me. It's called, I call it the campfire song, just because I wrote it around a campfire. It probably should have some other title. Here and Now is what it should be called, because it's about being here and now in the present. And I'm really big on that. Life moves so fast for us, you know, work. I'm a full-time student. I'm also a full-time not full-time, sorry. I work just under 40 hours, usually around 30, as an associate engineer. So yeah, student, engineer, as well as the music, and then our normal life, and we have a 13-year-old in the home. I mean, life is moving at such a rapid pace. But to sit down and to just be in the moment is so, so important. So thank you for being in this moment. And I hope you take those times in your life to be present and enjoy your moments. Turn out the lights, come and sit by me. I'll hold your hand, the world can let us be. 'Cause I've been thinking lately about time. You think too long, you might just lose your mind. Even the light from the stars is old. Generations of stories will go untold. Where we go, I don't know how, but you are my here, and you are mine now. And there are those that think they're oh so clever, wasting all their moments on forever. In the end, no one really knows. In the end, we only know we'll go. So let's take a break from who's right or wrong, and tell me again your story, it's been so long. We've been running, trying to win the race. I know if we wanted, we'd keep this pace. But all of the roads that we drive could end. And if it all burns, you know you're my best friend. I don't need the riches or the schemes. In the end, we always are my dream. 'Cause there are those that think they're oh so clever, wasting all their moments on forever. And in the end, no one really knows. In the end, we only know we'll go. And we are like the embers on the campfire, burning bright to reach the end and expire. Gravity is all we know, swallowed up in time's shadow. Even the light from the stars is old. Chances are our stories go untold. When we go, I don't know how, but you are my here, and you are mine now. You are my here, you are mine now. Thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of this night and a part of my here and my now. I wouldn't trade nights like these for the world. It's really special as an artist. I do want to thank Jon and everyone else that's a part of this that keeps this going. It's so beautiful for artists like me to have an intimate space where it's not just song after song after song after song at a bar, you know, to make people dance, but to make people sit and feel is the most beautiful gift as an artist. So round of applause. Thank you to Jon and everybody here. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it's always very important to have a good audience. I have had terrible audiences that are not there to sit and to connect and listen. They do just want to come and get drunk and dance, and that's great. There's a time and place for that everywhere. But yeah. Well, no, and yeah, but there have been times when I've been frustrated as an artist because I'm paid to sing, and sometimes I'm just paid to make the people party, and that's awesome, and I have fun doing it. But what I want to do is to empower people. That's what I love to do as an artist. So if any of you have felt empowered tonight to make change in your life or to appreciate your life or anything, I hope that that's what's coming out of this for you. So this next song is called Fly. It's on the album, and it's a beautiful song that I actually wrote for our wedding 3 years ago. So yeah, this is our wedding song. I hope you like it.
Taking the road less traveled by, and sometimes it made me wanna cry. But I look back and see how far I've come. You broke my dam with a gentle flood, and I guess trust isn't always blood. But I found you and said I'm gonna make you mine. Bristlecone pine. Some people say let's tie the knot and see where this thing leads. I never could be tied down unless it was to wings that set me free. So fly like the wings that we are tying. The haters said we'd fall, but I'm not buying. Fly There's one thing I have learned, it's family. follow you to the river, and you can guide the canoe. I'll let you know what's up ahead, and if your aim is true, I'll follow you to the river, and you can guide the canoe. And if there are rough waters, know that I have faith in you. I'll follow you to the river. We'll go on, come what may. I don't know what's up ahead. I don't care either way. 'Cause it's your lips that say my name, said with pride and not in shame, but with love, love. 'Cause I like the wings that we are tying. People say I've changed, and they're not lying. But I found the love that was worth tying. I'm glad I found the ones that needed finding. We take the roads less traveled by, and we probably will until we die. But I like that, 'cause I know where we stand. I know you'll hold my hand. Thank you. Thank you very much. I regret to inform you that I was supposed to play a song before that. I had 2 more songs for the piano, and I was going to play the sad one first so that I could end on that happy one. But I have just played you the happy one, and I have a sad one to sing to you. Oh, good, good. Please know that it was supposed to end on this happy note, yeah. If you could be strong for me. Hold on. Looking at my set list. Yeah, so this other song I'm going to play for you was released as a single on Mother's Day. It's called Mother's Day. It's another song about my mom, so of course it's sad. I was asked to do a gig on Mother's Day, obviously, and I said, yeah, no problem. And I set to work making the best set list possible and was listening to all these super happy songs about moms and relationships with moms, and I was fine with it. I really am at peace with who I am, and you know, it is sad, and there's a lot of trauma and sadness of not having a relationship with my parents anymore, but in general, I love my life so much, and my life is sadly, it's so much better because I don't have that relationship. So, but on this particular day, I kept hearing all of these songs, and I just thought, someone out there needs to write a song about how Mother's Day can be a sad day if you don't have a good relationship with your mom, or if your mom died, or you don't have good memories with your mom. It can be sad. So I went home, and this song just poured out of me. I wrote it in probably an hour, and I called up my guy at the studio. I said, hey, are you available tomorrow? I just wrote a song. It's just me and the piano. He said, sure, come in. So I did. I recorded it in probably another hour or 2. And, yep, it was just done. Sent it off to get mastered, and then I released it on Mother's Day. But if there are any of you out there in the audience that struggle on Mother's Day, then this song is for you. And I've never actually written this song down.
I've never written the lyrics down. I've never written the music that I play down. It just literally came out of me that day. And I never went back to it. So when I perform it, sometimes it turns out a little different, or I don't get the notes quite right. So that's okay. But this is called Mother's Day. My family once called me the golden child, but now misery is all I bring to the table. I am the Cain that killed Abel. It's not what it seems. I had to teach myself to dream. I'm scared to take a trip, 'cause I know that I'd slip into the rubble I left behind, to my weak and broken mind. And in the dream you'd appear, once my angel, but now you fear. I am the snake that you call treason. I lead the daughters from your Eden. It's not what it seems. I had to teach myself to dream. You broke my heart, left me tied up at the start of the race you would not run, so I did it on my own. I hit the finish. Wish I could hold you and say I did it. Another Mother's Day will come, and I'll sing the same old songs, but I'll be reaching for the whiskey to dull the pain of the history. 'Cause it's not what it seems. I had to teach myself to dream. You broke my heart, left me tied up at the start of the race you would not run, so I did it on my own. It's a good way to raise a child until it's not. And maybe somewhere down the road you forgot. It's a good way to raise a child until it's not. And maybe somewhere down the road you forgot that love is patient and love is kind, but love is not obedient minds. I hit the finish, and you weren't there to say you did it. I hit the finish, and I'm proud to say I did it, Mom. Thank you. Thank you. I don't perform that one often, but it always hits really hard when I do. What was that? No. Thank you. wish they were purple. Usually, if you ever go on my website or anything, purple is my color. I sign everything with purple hearts. It's purple. I do have purple sparkly shoes, but they're not these. I wish these boots were purple. That's all I'm going to say. Because usually I wear purple lipstick, but I had to wear blue to match the shoes. Thank you. It is a dream. It is a dream. Oh, yeah? Yeah. Huh. You don't need to buy me boots. No. I appreciate it. All of you here, I appreciate all of you, and Dave's been great helping me get gigs at other places. I really appreciate him, but all of the connections with you, your words matter. When you comment on something or you share it or you like it, that's a beautiful way to help out an artist. And if you have any friends that, even if you're not on Instagram or any of that, if you have friends that you think would be interested in the message or find something moving in the music, please share. Share with as many people as you want. But it is hard sometimes to get the word out about the music and the message. And all of you, again, you're the entropy. You're the disordered energy that will go about your lives, and who knows who you come into contact. But truly, when I say Irene's entropy, it's not the music. You are my disordered energy. So thank you, and I hope you spread it. This next song I did sing last time. It's inspired by one of my other heroes, who I will never meet, sadly, because he passed away, but that is Chris Cornell. I think that of all artists that I've ever listened to, his songwriting abilities and his voice and the way that he expressed music is just otherworldly, and I do try to put that emotion into my songs. So Chris Cornell in his band Audio Slave has a song called Like a Stone, and I wrote a song called Bread to Stone. Excuse me. Apologies. Yeah, so I wrote this song based on the idea that when you turn your emotions to stone, there is no movement that can happen, and the emotions can't move through you. I've spoken about that tonight. I struggled a lot with turning my emotions to stone, this figurative bread, that you have these feelings and these emotions that can be very healthy for you. It can be this, not literal, but this bread, this nutrients, but instead you turn it to stone. And no growth happens when that happens. So again, I encourage you all to feel your emotions. If you have them, that's you trying to tell yourself something, learn something about yourself. Don't turn it to stone. So this will and always will be dedicated to the late but great Chris Cornell. Pour the wine, make it blood red, and let me taste the bitterness. I've never known another flavor. Habitual pain is meat I savor. I am not what I seem, a bottle aged in nightmare dreams. And some have tried to sit in the trenches while I wrap myself in barbed wire fences. You went through hell to get me, and I gave you heaven for a minute. Old habits die hard, thick as mud, and I'm still here swimming in it. How long till you reach your limit?
This chip on my shoulder grows harder as I grow older. He wrote it down to bones, a tragedy that my pride swallows my empathy. And I'm down to skin and bones, but I'll turn my bread to stone. Stubbornness fills the splitting cracks. The weight of hatred won't break my back. You went through hell to get me, and I gave you heaven for a minute. Old habits die hard, the thick as mud, and I'm still here swimming in it. How long till you reach your limit? 'Cause Jesus Christ wouldn't turn stone to bread. Temptation of salvation living rent-free in his head. So suffer me now and I'll feast later on forgiveness. I'll ask you to cater. And I'm down to skin and bones, but I'll turn my bread to stone. I'm down to skin and bones, but I'll turn my bread to stone. I'm down to skin and bones, but I'll turn my bread to stone. I'm down to skin and bones, but I'll turn my bread to stone. I'm down to skin and bones, but I'll turn my bread to stone. I'm down to skin and bones, but I'll turn my bread to fucking stone. You went through hell to get me, and I gave you heaven for a minute. Old habits die hard, they're thick as mud, and I'm still here swimming in it. How long till I reach my limit? Love is foreign, I always kill it. But won't you stay just one more minute?
Thank you. Can you tell I lost the end of that? I went to the chorus structure instead of the verse, which I was supposed to end with. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, I actually just wrote that one not that long ago. It's probably the newest song that I have on my resume at this point. We're planning on putting it on the album. It fits in nicely, just because I think that it really does tell the story of, I struggled with that for so long, and sometimes still do, with expressing my emotions and letting myself feel my emotions, because for so long I just wanted to be strong. And I thought that being strong meant, not crying or not showing emotion. But to be strong is to be vulnerable with yourself and understand yourself. So I've thrown that message at you multiple times tonight, but if I can break through to anyone, be vulnerable with yourself and you'll find strength. And this next song I'm going to play for you is. What time is it? Could you took the stand away and I had a tissue on that stand. Could you get me my tissue? Oh, you said the tissue there. Thank you. Oh, yes. Round of applause. This next song comes from a project that I also started. Sorry, I can't multitask. I cannot. Comes from a project of an EP I wrote. I write so much that we have this album that came out. We have this other album of at least probably 14 songs that will be released later in singles this year. And then after that, I have another EP I'm working on called 5. And it represents the 5 stages of trauma recovery, or 5 stages of grief, interchangeable. But it also represents myself and my 4 siblings. There's 5 of us. And I don't really write about my family, with the exception of my mom, because I had the most to work through with that. But I have had experiences with my siblings, and I never want to, just write a song where I'm calling them out and, saying terrible things about them. But I think you can be artistic in the way you do it, because my relationships with each one of them are different. And this one happens to be about my younger brother. So he's the 5th sibling. And because he's the youngest, I don't think he really understands exactly what was going on a lot of the time. I think I left on my mission when he was only maybe 13 years old. And I came back and barely saw him, and then I left and then had so much, going on with especially my parents and the older siblings that were the ones that were telling me I was insane and that I was crazy and all this stuff, that in the mix of it all, he kind of got left behind. And so whenever I was in Honduras, I wrote letters to my family because that's all I could do. So, and there was a point in the country where there was like civil unrest. There was an election, and the election went wrong. And so people were like burning tires in the streets and shooting people, and everyone was mad at Americans because Trump had something to do with the election the way it was going. So people hated, the Americans, and we all had to stay inside of our houses, and it was insanity. I lived through, I wouldn't call it a civil war, but definitely lots of civil unrest and lots of people dying. So we were shut in our houses for a couple weeks. And again, I had no contact with the outside world, but I could write letters. So I wrote lots and lots of letters and mailed them home. And I got a text from an aunt that was visiting my family, and she sent me this picture of this crumpled up letter that clearly had been folded and kept in a pocket and read 1,000,000 times. And she said, I found this on the bathroom counter. Your younger brother keeps it with him every day and reads it. He really misses you. And at first, my first thought was that I should feel very guilty. But because I've done a lot of work on myself, I stepped back and I analyzed it. My brother reads a letter that I wrote him back in 2017 whenever I was a perfect Mormon missionary. He reads it over and over again because the words that I tell him in that letter, I'll tell you what the letter said. They said his name, and it said, be faithful to the church. The church is the most important thing in life. Joseph Smith was a prophet. The Book of Mormon is true. It was just repetitive. If you read it now, you would not think that I ever wrote that letter. But that's the version of me that my brother loves. That's the version of me that my family still loves, that my family still hopes that I'll come back and be. They don't love me. If you really wanted to know me, why do you read that letter every single day? Why don't you call me? I'm on Instagram. I have a website. It is no secret what I'm doing. Why don't you try to have a real conversation with me? But instead, you read this letter. So I went home and obviously wrote a song about it. So this will be the last song on that EP. You won't hear the EP for probably at least another 2 years. But it is a very cool project that I'm very excited to release. So this is the last song. It's called The Ghost of Me. I heard that you still read my letters back from 2017. The girl that wrote them is long gone, and they don't mean a thing. I killed her. I killed her. I left her body there to die on Old McGregor Street. I told her if she closed her eyes, she'd wake up from the dream. And I willed her. I willed her. I know you're trying to save me from the wreckage. I wish you would have tried to read the message. You only love the ghost of me. You'll trace a map in circles, hunting something that's not real, and that's insanity. You could show up at my door and shake your fists, but what for? I'm not what you want to see. You only love the ghost of me. I heard you asked to see my picture, like you really gave a damn. I bet you looked it up 1,000 times on Instagram. And it's not fair of me to blame a young victim like you. I know exactly where you are, you know I've been there too. I know you tried to save me from the wreckage. I wish you would just try to read the message. You only love the ghost of me. You'll trace a map in circles, hunting something that's not real. That's insanity. You could show up at my door and shake your fists, but what for? I'm not what you want to see. You only love the ghost of me. Still read my letters back from 2017. The girl that wrote them is long gone, and they don't mean a thing. I killed her. I killed her. I killed her. I killed her. Death. Can't you see there's nothing left?
nothing but the blood and sweat it took to get me here. Nothing but the quiet rage I used to conquer fears. You only love the ghost of me. You'll trace a map in circles, hunting something that's not real. It's just a fantasy. You could show up at my door and shake your fists, but what for? You're not what I want to see. You only love the ghost of me.
Thank you. It is 9:04, so I will sing you one more song. Oh, flew by. I could probably go for another 2 hours. Okay, all right. But I do have to get up for work tomorrow. I have a customer flying in from Texas. We're going to go to a test house and test a unit that's supposed to go on a helicopter, so I have to get up in the morning. So we must go. We have a 2-hour drive back home. Well, depends on who you ask if it's important. I'll skip that one. Darn. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening to me. I don't take that for granted. I controlled the tangents, yeah. It is a very incredible crowd, yes.
But part of it is we've all had a Mormon knock on the door, right? Are they easy to shut up? No. The training and the brainwashing that goes with it is incredible. So to reverse that but then apply it to this faction of an audience is an incredible amount of work for her.
It's taken a lot of work.
That's my plug of how proud I am.
Thank you. Thank you. Never speak.
What she's doing right now is dangerous. Right? This is dangerous. She's taking a massive risk in telling you these things that she was sworn to secrecy to never tell.
It is true.
The original temple ceremonies were.
Oh, I never told that story.
Never tell the secrets from within.
Yes, that's beautiful. It's beautiful to find friends and support. I appreciate it.
You need to blow the square up big. Yeah. So that you can speak the truth, right? Show the way. I mean, it's not unlike what happened with the Underground Railroad. Not to do cultural appropriation or anything, but
Yeah.
those people along the way that helped people out.
Yeah.
That they were the ones they were hunting.
Yes.
So they weren't necessarily worried about the slaves so much.
Harriet
The
Tubman.
facilitators, right? The facilitators are the ones that represent the greatest threat to the machine.
Yes. Thank you. Very well said. And truly, besides coming to the concerts, or like I said, please share the music or my website, all of it. Encourage your friends. But also, if you know anyone that would like a house party, I can come and do this in your house. And thank you, a house concert. Yes. But please consider allowing me into your home or apartment or anywhere. I want to connect with people and tell my story. And yes, make these connections. It really is a grassroots effort. And people say, well, one day you'll take off, and well, that doesn't happen unless there's people like you who feel as though it's something worth sharing with your friends. So I also have a Patreon. You can give $5 a month, and I post things that aren't on my social media, but on Patreon you can see behind-the-scenes footage. There's another level where if you want to do... Yes. Yes. Or I do covers. I think it's for $20 a month. You can request that I do covers of your choosing, whatever band or artist you want, and then I do those. And there's different ways that you can support. So, but the biggest thing is always, if you know someone that would like a house concert or someone that has a venue, anything like that, please, that would be amazing. But thank you so much for being here. This will be my last song of the evening. It's the last song on my album, High Water. It's called Reap What I Sow. And it truly is the last, it's a message to anyone from my past who is listening. I was born in rose-colored water that seeped into my eyes and soul, but I didn't know the difference. Being blind was beautiful. But no amount of sweet addiction can stop the force of reality. In the bitter recognition, only you can set you free. And I don't believe in saints, I don't believe in sinners. It's not black and white in life, it's like gray in the winter. And I don't believe in the kind of love I used to anymore. I jumped ship and I still got my middle fingers pointed from the shore. And it was worth it. If anyone wants to know, it was worth it. So let me reap what I sow. And my mother's blood runs through my veins, but we haven't spoken years. If we did, maybe I'd ask her, what's it like to become your worst fear? And there's two sides to every story, carved by pain and memory. And time will soften all the edges, but it's still stone I keep with me. And I don't believe in saints, I don't believe in sinners. It's not black and white in life, it's like gray in the winter. And I don't believe in the kind of love I used to anymore. I jumped ship and I still got my middle fingers pointed from the shore. And it was worth it. If anyone wants to know, it was worth it. So let me reap what I sow, 'cause it was worth it. If anyone wants to know, it was worth it. So let me reap what I sow, 'cause it was worth it. If anyone wants to know, it was worth it. So let me reap what I sow. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Everybody have a safe drive home. Thank you so much.